Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's blessings fall on each and every one of us. May his protection fall on each and every one of us. And may his guidance carry each of us to the truth. In the beginning, prior to creation, it is said that Allah was in a state of meditation on himself. He was in a state of silence. He was in a state of darkness. And for eons, he meditated on himself. And during that time, he discarded things from himself. He discarded arrogance. He discarded the sense of I. He discarded egoism. He discarded selfishness. He discarded enmity. He discarded hatred. He discarded separation. He discarded differences. He was in the process of purifying himself. And then from him came a light. And this light spoke to Allah, the light that came from him, and said, Allah, you are the all magnificent. You are the all powerful. You are the all knowing. And within you is all that there is. And he gave off from him rays of light. And these rays of light that he gave off from himself became creation. He created the jinns and the fairies. He created the angels. He created the heavenly beings. He created all of the different animals on earth. He created the birds and the insects and the four-legged animals and the fish. And he created the earth that holds them all. And then, as his final creation, he created Adam, which is man. And he created Adam at a higher level than all of the rest of his creations. And he indicated that man would be able to know and understand things that even the heavenly beings, the angels, couldn't know and understand. And he said that man is my secret, and I am man's secret. And it became the object, the purpose of this creation, that Allah gave to man the ability to discard from themselves all that Allah had discarded from himself. So in the way that Allah discarded arrogance, man has the ability to discard arrogance. In the way that Allah discarded hatred, man has the ability to discard hatred. Man has the ability to discard hastiness, to discard jealousy, to discard differences, to discard animosity, to discard mine and yours, to discard the egocentric self, to discard the feeling of I. All of these things that can and should be discarded hide from us the reality of existence, hide from us the knowledge of who we truly are. So there is the discarded portion of creation, and within creation, there is also the portion that is from Allah. And in this world, the portion that is from Allah and the discarded portion are intermingled. And as long as we contain the portions within us that are meant to be discarded, we are incapable of seeing the truth. Allah is hidden from us. That portion of us that is Allah is obscured by the qualities that we should discard. So as long as we have differences, as long as we have ego, as long as we have mine and yours, as long as we are not within the realm of purity, we are blocking the truth from our own self. We are holding back the truth from our own self. We are involved in form as opposed to being involved in light. We have taken on form as an end, as opposed to understanding that form is what was thrown off from Allah. So each of us has this body, and we associate with this body as if it is who we are, when in truth, it is not who we are. The truth of us is deeper than that. The truth of us is hidden within that. The truth of us is the light that is within this material form. So we are a material form and we are a light body. And to understand the truth of who we actually are, we must understand the light body that is within us. But there is a process to understanding this light body that is within us. There is a method for understanding this light body that is within us. There is a way to get to know this light body that is within us. And it is through wisdom that we are able to find this out. And what does it mean? Well, we use lots of words like detach, let go of, release, take the bounds off. But in truth, it means that as long as we maintain the mind and desire, the egocentric self, and the desire for this world, it is a self-inflicted disability that we've given to us. And that disability is the disability to know who we truly are. There's an expression in English, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, it's true. And you can't have this world and also have the light. You have to know which it is that you want, and you have to know why it is that you want it. Your love for the world and your love for the physical things of the world has to decrease while your love for the light has to increase. Your knowledge of what the light is has to increase, and your knowledge for the world has to become less and less important. So as long as we are focused on the creation and on the beauty of the creation and of the hypnotisms within creation and of the splendors and the magnetisms within creation, we can be kept busy with creation for our entire lives. We can study creation for our entire lives. And then, of course, there are those who will say there is nothing beyond creation. So there are those who are limited by their senses and proclaim that this isn't a limitation, it's the truth. The ones who are limited by their senses proclaim there's nothing else beyond that which the senses can know. So they deny the existence of the light. They deny the existence of perception that is beyond the senses. And what the holy ones tell us is that there is a perception beyond the senses. And this perception beyond the physical senses is the perception that understands the light and the nature of the light, and understands Allah and the nature of Allah. And as we become truly to know ourselves, we will understand the nature of Allah. And as Allah is revealed to us, as we come to know that, then we become to know the truth of existence, and we become God-like in our being, because we've entered into a state of purity that is detached from all of the physical remnants of our being, that's detached from our body, and it's detached from all of the pictures that we see within the mind. Everything that we see is a picture. Everything that we see is an illustration. Everything that we see is a form that has taken on a particular shape, that has taken on a particular essence, that has taken on a particular way about it. And there are thousands and millions of forms. Every animal has a different form. Every animal has a different sound. Every fish has a different form. Every tree has a different form. Every flower has a different form. Every plant and all of the vegetations have different forms. There are cactus, and there are bushes, and there are trees, and there are so many different kinds of flora and fauna, each of them a creation of our Lord, each of them showing the splendor of what our Lord is capable of doing. But each of them doesn't reach the splendor of what in fact is our Lord. And this is what we have to understand. We can be mesmerized by the creation, but as we're mesmerized, as we're hypnotized, we must also understand that the Creator is so much greater than any of the creations, that the Creator is so much more than anything that our senses can see, that the Creator is so much transcendent above and beyond all of these things. And sometime in our life, we have to conclude that our search shouldn't be for the depths of creation and to understand the depths of creation, but to search for the Creator and to understand the depth of what that Creator is. And the difference between what the Creator is and what the creation is. And we have to take on that work. This is the purpose that we were sent here. We were sent to go through the same analysis that Allah went through. Allah went into deep meditation on himself to find out the essence of what he was. We are meant to go into deep meditation on ourselves to find out the essence of who we are. Now, what Allah has done is he sent 124,000 prophets into this world in order to assist man in this journey, in order to assist man in this work, in order to assist man in understanding what truth is and what man should know. And after the prophets, he continued to send visionaries for us, ones who could show us the truth and explain the way to us. And these are called ketubs, and they are the axis between the next world and this world. And the worlds spin around them. They are here, but not of here. They are with us, but not from here. They are here to show us the truth and to explain to us reality and the difference between what our senses perceive and what reality is. And they are also here to explain to us the right ways to act within this illusory world so that our attachment to this illusory world is lessened and lessened so that we can find the truth of ourselves. Selfishness is a big part of illusion. The phenomenon that makes us think that we are in constant need of things is a big part of illusion. There was once a sultan who was traveling through the countryside, and he saw an old man with a long white beard, and he was planting young date palm shoots, shrubs, in order to grow date palm trees. And he stopped and he said to the man, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm planting date palms." And he says, "Well, how long does it take one of these date palms to produce fruit?" And the man says, "Well, it depends. Could take 10, 20, 30 years, sometimes even longer." And then he says, "Do you imagine that you'll be able to taste the fruit of your labor?" And he says, "Well, probably not, but I am tasting the fruit of the labor of the ones who came before me. So isn't it my obligation to do the same for those who come after me?" And the Sultan was very pleased with his answer and threw him a small bag containing gold coins. And the old man took the gold coins and he said, "It's interesting. My plants who are just being planted have already borne fruit. And how unusual it is for plants to bear fruit this quickly. And we have to thank God for this miracle." And this so pleased the Sultan that he threw him another bag of coins. And this time he said, "Usually fruit only comes to a plant once a year, but here we have another miracle. This plant has given fruit twice in 1 year. And again, we have to thank God." And the Sultan threw him another bag of coins, and then said to his companion, he said, "We better leave before we are penniless," because of all of his remarks, and they took off. So what's the lesson here? Here was a man who was doing selfless work. He was doing things not on behalf of himself, but on behalf of future generations. He understood that for the palm tree, the palm date trees to give fruit in the future, somebody had to plant them so that they would be able to give in the future. So he was committing selfless acts. The selfless act touched the Sultan, and the Sultan gave him a reward for the selfless act. But the man didn't thank the Sultan. He thanked Allah, because he understood that in truth, all things come from Allah. They don't come from man. They don't come from the Sultan. We only do the work to be able to show the majesty of what Allah is able to do. And this is a lesson for us to release ourselves from the torture of this world, to release ourselves from the difficulties of this world, to release ourselves from the hypnotism and the magnetism of this world that draws us into attachment to it. We have to do things that give away our attachment to the world. We have to do things on behalf of others. There was once somebody who was very upset with their own life, and they asked me what they could do. And the words that came to me very quickly were, why don't you go live with somebody like Mother Teresa and begin to do the kind of work that she does? If you're so upset with your own life, give your life towards others. And when you begin to give your life towards others, you lose the attachment to your own self. And at the same time, when you lose that attachment to yourself, because you're no longer spending all your time working for yourself, you lose the attachment to the qualities that keep you trapped within this world. And you get to the point where you can be set free. And in the way Bawa explained things to us, and in the way he had us understand things, what freedom meant, what being set free meant, is to understand Haq. Haq is the word in Arabic for reality. Haq is also one of the names of Allah, one of the names of God. So for us to understand Haq is to become Haq. For us to understand reality, we have to become reality. For us to know truth, we have to become truth. For us to understand justice, we have to become justice. Allah is mercy and compassion and justice and truth and love and kindness. We have to become those same things. We have to become mercy and compassion and justice and love and kindness. And how do we do that? We do that by crossing the mountain of the mind and the mountain of desire. The mind is a mechanism that creates pictures of the world for us and world scenarios for us based on what our desire conjures. So our desire conjures the things that we want in the world. The mind creates pictures and then gives man methodologies for obtaining and fulfilling those pictures and those desires. This is the opposite of the work that we're supposed to do. If we're supposed to be discarding all of our attachments to the world, if we're supposed to be discarding all of the egocentric ideas in the world, if we're supposed to be discarding everything that is of the world and is of the sexual arts and the sensual pleasures, if we're supposed to be discarding all these things, we can't be running after them and thinking that we'll find release in truth. We're just going to get ourselves into more and more difficulty, more and more trouble, more and more complex, bizarre situations that we will have more and more trouble getting out of. So we need to simplify our lives. We need to look at the essence of things, and we need to try and understand the essence of things. One of the things that you'll find about holy men, men who have made this trek towards purity, is that their lives are not complicated. Their lives are simple. And the question for us is, can we simplify our lives? The way that we pull ourselves out of all of the complex difficulties that we have created for ourselves is to simplify our lives. There was once a time when the prophet was sitting among a group of men, when a voice came and said, "I seek permission to enter." And it was a harsh voice and an ugly voice. And one of the prophet's companions said, "Who is that?" And the prophet said, "It's Satan. It's the voice of Satan. And Satan is asking to enter." And one of the companions, Umar, stood up and said, "I will go and crush him. I will break his head." And the prophet said, "You can't do that. Allah has given him certain rights until the time of the resurrection, but we should let him in and see what he wants." So they allowed Satan to come in, and Satan was ugly. One eye was closed. He had some whiskers on his beard, and he was an unattractive man. And he said to the prophet, "I have been sent by Allah to allow you to ask some questions of me, and I have promised to answer truthfully." And the prophet said to him, "Well, my first question then is, who are your enemies?" And Satan said, "My enemies include the prophets, the scholars who put their knowledge into practice and actually help people, the one who read the scriptures and from the scriptures take that knowledge and put it into practice, the ones who do the call to prayer in Allah's name, the poor who are satisfied with their lot, the compassionate, the generous, the ones who do the early morning prayers, the ones who advise people and call them to Allah, who reform their natures, the ones who place all their trust in Allah, the ones who aid the poor, the ones who are modest, and the pious and the devout who put their faith in Allah alone and work to help Allah." And then the prophet said to him, "And amongst my community, who are your friends?" And Satan answered, "Tyrannical rulers are my friends. The arrogant are my friends. The scholars who sell themselves out to rulers or who work for money. Dishonest tradesmen. those who take strong drink, those who are backbiters and who slander other people and create animosity among people, the usurers, the liars, the informants who create animosity among groups and bring friends to fight against each other. In these answers, many answers for our own lives can be found. How do we become an enemy to Satan? And of course, in the converse, become a friend to Allah. The generous are his enemies, and they are the friends of Allah. The pious are his enemies, and they are the friends of Allah. The ones who trust in Allah are Satan's enemies, and they are the friends of Allah. There are so many ways to be a friend of Allah. Are we amongst at least one of those ways? Are we amongst something that makes us a friend to Allah? Do we aid the poor? Are we satisfied with what we have? Do we read the scriptures with the understanding that reading isn't enough, but we must bring the word of the scriptures into our life and into our essence and into our being? Do we abstain from talking ill about others? Or do we get involved in it? If we abstain, we become friendly with Allah. If we do it, we become the friend of Satan. We need to be very careful in the way we walk through our life. We have to understand that which brings us towards the Creator and that which brings us away from the Creator. And the second part of that understanding is that as we bring ourselves towards the Creator and closer to the Creator and in imitation of the Creator, and finally in true intention towards the Creator, we ourselves, each of us, are capable of becoming that truth. One of the things that Allah gave us in his creation of us was to be at the station of his Son, to be at the station of Allah's image, which is within the qualities of who he is. So we have to constantly choose between making profit within the world, making profit for our own self, making our own self greater and greater and greater, thinking only of ourself and helping only ourself, or acting as Allah acts, which is without selfishness, without arrogance, without need. A simple, simplistic essence that is an aid to all of creation, maintains and sustains all of creation through love and kindness. And Allah sent men who have those qualities into the world. They came as prophets, and then they came as ketubs, and then they came as friends of Allah. They are exemplars for us of what man is to be. Animal man is not man. The man who is attached to the earth is not man. The man who has animal qualities is not man. The man who is selfish is not man. The man who does everything for his own benefit is not man. The man who is arrogant is not man. True man is God-like. True man is Ketub-like. True man has transcended the animal qualities, has transcended selfishness, has transcended the need to aggrandize the self, and has learned that the truth is to discard all of these things and to live within the effulgence of God's qualities, within the effulgence of God's grace, within the effulgence of God's protection, within the effulgence of the light, within a way of being that cannot be understood until the attachment to all of these satanic qualities is gone. So most people become very frustrated because they can't sense the next phase. They can't sense the next step. So they surrender to the world as opposed to continuing on the road to surrender to Allah. And this is what we have to do. We have to understand that things will be shown to us in the time that we are ready to see them. And this takes patience. And patience has to become our walking stick. Patience has to become that which pushes us forward. Patience has to become the underlying nature of our being. And once we develop this patience, then we can develop the faith that grows within patience, and the faith that what is supposed to come to be ours will in fact come to be ours. And we have to understand that when we say ours, we say that in the sense of the unity of all of creation, because the individuation of ourselves disappears. And we have to give up the fear of losing ourselves. We have to understand that our true glory will come when we lose ourself. And in that loss, Allah will give us treasures that are beyond our comprehension. The treasure of true compassion, the treasure of true mercy, the treasure of true love, the treasure of knowing the secret that is within creation, the treasure of knowing and understanding the reason for creation, the treasure of knowing what it means to be holy and what it means to be transcendent, the treasure of knowing what is beyond this world and what Allah has to offer us. To find those treasures, we have to give up looking for the gems and the gold and the women and the wealth of this world. And if we can't give that up, we can't find the truth. So may it come to pass for each of us quickly that our love for God outweighs our love for the world, that our love for truth outweighs the love for fame, that our love for reality outweighs the love for ourselves. And if we can do that, then truth will enter our heart, truth will enter our being, and the light that is within us will be revealed to us. So we have to stop hiding the light, and we hide the light because of the qualities that hide the light. We have to enter into the qualities that allow that light to be released and allow that light to be seen by each and every one of us. May it come to be that way. May it come to be like that. And may we all know Haq. May we all know the truth. May we all know reality. And may we all be blessed with the grace of Allah's protection and Allah's knowledge, the knowledge of the truth. Ameen, ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.